Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirkCast with Jimbo and Calvinator. As always, we will be discussing the latest MFL updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last week or so. One important note, as we always like to say, before we kick this episode off, none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Calva, my classic 3 questions. How you doing? How you been? And who have we got with us today?
I'm doing great. Maybe MFL-wise, not so good because you had a little remontada and you hammered me in the WenDirk beat.
Yes,
some other good results, but anyway, we'll talk more about that later. But I'm really happy with the guest we have today because he was our first guest, so a friend of the show. And we just discovered like a nice sequence of numbers, like episode 3, 53, 103. So that's perfect to bring him back on. And later we're going to do a little bench talk and just ramble about a lot of small topics. So welcome back to the show, Sturgeinator. How are you doing?
Hey, yeah, good to be back, guys. Always a pleasure. Doing great.
Awesome. And Arsenal won 3 points, so you're happy, right?
Yeah, we just about nicked it, but happy to get away from Old Trafford with the 3 points. But much work to do.
It's in the back. The 3 points in the back to London, and you're happy. Great.
Exactly.
And Norwich also won, so two happy guys.
Yeah, 2 happy guys. We saved a penalty as well, which is
and me as like a half PSV fan, we also won, so we all won.
No, half a
our
PSV
games.
fan.
I call myself half a PSV fan.
You're the only reason half and half scarves exist because you support 2 teams, maybe. So you're like, half of PSV. Then who's the other team? Who's your half the other team then? Ajax.
No, more Feyenoord because my parents are from Rotterdam, so it's like it's.
So you get a half and half. Would you get half and half shirt?
Every football fan hates me because this is not how you're supposed to do. Being a football fan. So.
I'm on their side. I think I can.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, let's not talk about it.
I always say supporting clubs is a very fluid thing. There's no right or wrong way as long as you're enjoying the game.
So if someone was a Spurs and an Arsenal fan, is that the right thing to do?
That might toe the line a little bit.
There are exceptions to that rule. So
yes.
Okay, great. So we have a lot to talk about, I think, with the bench talk. So a lot of small topics later. Of course, our usual updates. And before we start all of that, Jimbo, some streaming updates, highlights, anything.
We had 3 streams this week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, all went great. It was kind of weird on Wednesday as I sort of started it and was like, do you know what, guys? When we do this stream next Wednesday, it's the last match days of season 7. Aside from playoffs, which, playoffs sort of don't count in the sort of the watch songs and the league games. But I was like, how scary is that we are 3 match days away from just season 7 ending? I'm pretty sure that once we hit that mid-season transfer window, once matches start, they just go so quick. They absolutely fly for the rest of the season. It feels like it's shorter than the first half of the season. Actually, I've not counted how many days are on either side of each half of the season. It could be slightly shorter, and that could be the reason why we feel like this. But second half of the season goes so quickly. But yeah, streams were great this week, so thank you to everyone who always tuned into them.
And those 3 games suddenly, like you posted or you tweeted also with the WenDirk account, I saw like post your tables because suddenly we only have 3 games, 9 points, you can still get. And a lot of tight tables. My gold league is super tight, so many other leagues. Also Diamond, we're going to talk later about Diamond. That's crazy how the table looks like. And suddenly there's only 3 games left. So like, oh no, every game matters, really like a lot now, more like double, I would say. But yeah, anything else before we start?
No, that was all right.
I'll throw in something there. I feel like I agree with you, Jimbo. Like this second half of the season always flies, but it's almost as soon as the transfer window closes, I start thinking about rewards, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait until I can like redeem some packs and see what I'm getting, and then I like create the spreadsheet that's like, okay, where are my positions now? How much will I be getting? And then everything is just like, oh, like, can we just get there already? Because I want to see what my team is going to look like next season. But yeah.
Yeah, agreed. So it goes fast and you look forward to maybe even faster to get your rewards and spend them on. Although it's always a bit of a teaser. You first get your rewards, and then you have to wait until that store opens, of course.
Yeah. And every season I go in MFL General, and I'm like, when does the
When,
rewards
yeah.
get replenished?
Yeah, I don't
Exactly.
know. Is that common one ever been replenished this season? I feel like it might have done right at the start. It's still common player pack, still temporarily available. That's been like that for 2.5, 3 weeks now, which I think, I think that's pretty poor. I think you need common packs to be replenished.
When common packs, yeah.
Mate, is that market manipulation on the common marketplace? It could be. It could be.
I would say talk to the IMFF about this.
Yeah, talk to
need to be available.
MFL Reserve, Federal MFL Reserve.
Okay, let's do a moment of the week. Any Jimbo? I think I know your moment of the week, but you can also pick another moment.
Oh, do you want me to? Do
nice.
you? You don't want me to say that I beat you 6-2 during the week? No. Which I do feel sorry for you, because you went up 2-0 in the first 15 minutes, and I went, oh my word, I can't get thumped by Calva. I just can't. Like I just can't, because I won't hear it. I won't, hear the end of it on the pod. Even though you're not like me when you don't sort of go, oh, I beat you, Jimbo. You were sort of going, no, Jimbo, I just beat you. But then suddenly I scored 6 goals in a row and won 6-2. And I was like, when you scored the first 2, I was just chilling in bed, and I was ready to like rage so hard when I saw the goals go in. And then I looked down, I was like, hang on, it's 2-2. I just literally had a sip of water, and it's now 2-2. We ended up winning the game 6-2. Wyverns are currently 3rd, which is pretty decent with 3 games left. Although the annoying thing is that if I do finish 3rd, I just don't like my chances in the playoff, because I've seen who I might be playing in League 7. And, for example, SR Monkey David, his team, which got relegated from Silver last year, could be that 3rd place. It could also be the 2nd or the 1st place in League 7. But that's like another jacked bronze team. And I'm like, I'd really like to be able to, solidify and get that playoff spot with 1 game left, because that 3rd place route is just horrendous for fatigue, in my opinion. You just absolutely washed, especially when you play that 9th place team, and they may have not only a better team than you probably, but also just like 6 to 5 better fatigue. So let's see how that goes for the Wyverns. I'm hopeful of finishing 3rd. No, I'm not at all. I play the top 2 in my last 2 games, so I'm not hopeful at all. It all depends how tonight's game goes. If I win tonight's game, I'm feeling a bit more hopeful. But I beat you 6-2, so I've had a decent week in that sense. And I beat Quinny. I beat Quinny 4-1 after he smashed and grabbed me 1-0 earlier in the season. I beat him 4-1. So it's been a decent week.
I'm also now above Quinny in the table. So
Quinny's dropped to 9th now. I can just see it. Yeah,
exactly. He dropped down quite a bit. But Sturge, what about your leagues? I think in Plat, aren't you doing very well, or was it the last time I checked?
No, on paper, but I feel like contextually. So I'm sure you guys didn't clock this, but at the mid-season window, Something Balling hit me up and said, hey, you're comfortably running away with this thing. I think it was like 10 or 13 points clear. Let me loan your 3 best players. And we exchanged. I was very hesitant, because my only thing going into this season was get back into Diamond. I don't want to miss out on another year. I tried to do a smart move last year, and it backfired on me. So I sent him my 3 best players, thinking someone's going to have to win every game to catch me. And then I went on this 3-game losing streak in the league. And it was even... I think there was even, it was. I won the 12th game coming back, lost 3, and none of these games were against top half strength opponents. And Dio, who wasn't even in contention when I made this decision, has just won every game since the transfer window. So, and I will it's made me perceive this season as my lead went from 13 points to 10 points to 9 points to 7 points. And I've managed to win the last 4, which 7-point lead with 3 games left. I shouldn't be feeling nervous, but I play Frag, I play Dio, and then I play Variance. Is that a Kinshu team?
Variance.
Yeah,
still it's a Kinshu team, yeah.
And the teams are all good. I'm not winning my games convincingly. So I'm like, feel so uncomfortable for a 7-point lead. But hopefully, my moment of the week comes after this pod has gone live and I've beaten Frag and we're in Diamond. But other than that, maybe the bigger moment would have been something Ballin's Black MFC team getting to the semifinals of IMFF, because I now have a 20% stake in that. And it's
Damn.
been, and he's top of plat now on the other league. And he's like done really well. So maybe him beating Ronin and Meta Mercenaries was my moment of the week.
So are you?
That go on, Calvo.
Now it was like, are you now happy with the decision, or like would you make it again, or do you slightly regret it because it must have been very stressful seeing that lead decrease week by
I
week?
mean, if ask me in 3 games.
Yeah, of course, it all depends on the
Yeah.
end result, but
Yeah,
you kind of, it's a bit like hubris, maybe, you know, like, oh, I just give away my best players, a bit like the turtle hair, you know, kind of,
yeah.
oh, whatever,
Well,
and then
I mean,
take a
it's
risk.
crazy too, just because like we comfortably walked the first, like I think I won 10 games in the first 11 and lost 1, and it was just so comfortable. And I've just dropped like points left, right, and center here. And it is just crazy when you have, and it's not even big drop offs. Like I'm going from, I think my starting 11 is weakened by 8 overall. And I just went from comfortable wins to like squeaky bums. And like I beat Ronan a few game weeks ago in Plat, and I needed him to get a red card in the 50th minute to overturn a 2-1 deficit and win. And even like playing bottom of the league 2 games ago, like we didn't play well. I won 2-0, but this is a team that Dio smacked like 5-0. And my boys are just like mentally checked out, you know. But I think we have enough in the tank to see it through. But like I've got another team that's 7 points clear, and I have no doubts. You know, I'm feeling super optimistic, but Plat League is tight.
Yeah, and high stakes, of course, like diamond, straight ticket to diamond. So, but it should be fine. 7 points. That's like mathematically.
Hopefully, no
very
WenDirk
hard.
Cast
Dirk
now we've
curse.
said that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we've
very hard to
said
give
that.
away, but Dirkers. Oh, well, let's see how it goes. But Jimbo, you had a follow up thing?
I was going to say,
yeah.
Sturge, you said earlier about you always track the rewards and so on and so forth now summer season. Have you already calculated how much those 20% guys are bringing you in from something Balling's
Yeah.
team?
Yeah,
Is
so
it quite a tasty amount, that 20%, with a couple of
it's
league, I imagine?
tasty. If
Probably more than what mine brings in this season.
if Black win the league, it'll get me 152K.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah. So
It's almost like the maximum like utility and, you know, rewards from those players where they've got you that 13 whatever point lead at the beginning of the season. You've maxed out their use for you, and they've almost, apart from if they were to say, if they would have got to a final of the Titans Cup, which would have been crazy, but
yeah.
That's like an unbelievable season for you in terms of getting the most out of them from a reward, from MFL rewards.
Yeah.
You got the best of both worlds, basically. The rewards and the utility from them and your own team's doing well. So fair play.
No, totally. And that was Black's or something Balling's pitch to me, because I got knocked out of IMFF. So I really was just playing league with what should have been, or what is even still, a very comfortable lead. And he was like, "Hey, like this will help me. It will help you make extra money." It still took me a long time to like come to the decision, but we got there. And
nice.
if things work out, master stroke.
Unai Emery masterclass.
Exactly. Yeah. And it seemed to have worked out fine. Like you kept your plat and he maximized his winnings and you get. So now it seems like a massive big rain move. But if we've gone either way, like another way, probably.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if I don't get promoted, or if I don't even finish first in this plat league, I think it will be the biggest like bottle in MFL history. Um,
Yeah,
which
I was thinking that. Yeah, it might have been.
We'll see.
no,
To
no,
be continued.
yeah, to be
To
continued.
be continued on the. Yeah, we definitely have to come back to this next week. We have to see how that story ended. Okay, dev updates.
Are you not
Kind
saying
of
yours, Cal?
short.
You not got a moment
Sorry.
of the week?
Oh yeah, I forgot my one. I
Right,
don't
it's
know if
just
I had.
that bad of a week. He's like, just skip me, fellas,
Yeah,
please, just
pretty
skip it
much,
over
pretty
me.
much. I don't know. I'm in. This about my gold league is very interesting. There's like 2 points to the third place, and 1 point below me is already the ninth spot. So there's only 3 points between third and ninth. So also with 408 sauce, by the way, Sturge, I'm in the same gold league. I think his team already relegated. But that's really crazy. Like I keep winning. I'm like 30 points should be safe, but it's still not safe. And it can either be the third place or the ninth. It's kind of what we'll see in Diamond in a couple of minutes. But it's a really weird spot to be in. You like kind of I have a very good season. I did super well with this team, but it can either be third, fourth, or ninth. It's like very weird feeling. You know, like are you doing a good job or not a good job, and you start to doubt yourself. But it's just funny when it's so close on the table. You really don't have an idea like what was your season like so far. I don't know if you recognize this feeling with like tight leagues. It's like, am I doing well or not, or yeah, what's happening here?
Well, I think that's like a, just like the natural maturity, and I'm sure like many people predicted this when like game officially went live with promotion and relegation, but like leagues across the board are super tight, and you might get one team that runs away with it, like Ronan's Meta Mercenaries. You might get one or two teams that end up being the whipping boys, but if you look at like some of those, like I think it's Basti's predictions, like some leagues you get like 10 overall, splitting a top 11 from like first all the way down to ninth or 10th. And I'm sure we'll touch on this later, but like the variance discussion that's been going on in the community, I just feel like teams are so close. Like, yeah, variance is going to play a much bigger role because we're no longer in pre-promotion relegation where there's almost three, sometimes even four different mini leagues within each
Mm.
league.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's good to address later with our discussion with engine variants and some conspiracies cliffhanger going on. So dev updates now about the engine. We're gonna talk about a new patch is there for the experimental one released earlier this week, and it addressed several issues such as rating calculation issues, so fouls inside the penalty area, incorrect ball physics, so maybe they spin the wrong way, and net behavior improvements. And of course, Quentin keeps working hard on it based on all your feedback. UI improvements, something interesting that a new batch of UI improvements is coming very soon. It says release next week, so probably this week somewhere there might be some new UI improvements. The kit maker, I think everyone is really looking forward to this. Good progress on that side. Only some final adjustments before release. The rebranding fees, we talked about it last week too. Still working on that, and you'll be notified in advance before it goes live. So that's good that you know. You can keep rebranding, and you know when it goes live. And finally, the match start bug. There was a bit of a bug that some league matches failed to start, and the issue has been fixed, which is good. Maybe any comments about UI or rebranding fee? I know Jimbo. We talked about it. Maybe Sturge. What do you think about it? To pay some
Um,
MFL to rebrand your teams.
yeah, I think they've mentioned from like pre 0 point. I mean, did we even have clubs? Yeah, we did. Like before .1 season, like rebranding was always supposed to cost money, and here we are 15 seasons later. It's going to
Yeah,
start. I'd
exactly.
be curious
Yes.
how it's structured, but this hasn't been like it's not a surprise to me. And I'm for it. It makes sense.
Yeah. So long overdue, kind of in
Yeah.
that sense. And Jimbo, UI wise, do you think we'll see something from the meet up We had kind of also some material, some screenshots.
I
Do you think it's that direction or is it smaller?
I don't know. It's really hard to tell, right? Because if say some of the things that we saw and everyone saw in that video where it looked like the player profile UI was getting a massive overhaul. If they were releasing that, and I can see why they'd go both ways with this. One, they don't even announce it's going to be player profile, so when it happens, everyone goes, "Oh my god, look at that massive change, looks great." Or do they do it to hype it up? I don't know where they'd sit in that scale. They're in that range, which where they lean. I suspect it's probably just some casual changes to the UI. They might try, if it was a player profile, they may have put like a little emoji on the end to maybe try and signify like a radar or sort of like a player standing there, or maybe the football emoji or some boots, maybe just something to give a little bit of flavor and make us make our own expectations and predictions of what it might be, not them feeding it to us forcefully. I expect it to be something small, but it would be cool if just you refreshed. And it's such an MFL and Yaks thing to just refresh one morning on like a Friday, and suddenly half the website's changed. That's such an MFL thing to do, and I guess maybe now they can't really do that as much because we've got more players and they need to communicate on things a bit
Well, I
more
mean,
formally for
last
those bigger
time
changes. But
there
yeah,
were quite some complaints, right? There were a couple of users who were like, "What is this? The big announcement?" It's like a whole new era, photorealistic. But there was a sentiment that was a bit overhyped because also it was more like a vision, right? In 2.0, and the new UI is part of that new vision and new product. So maybe they are now just casually releasing this without the big hype,
I mean, I think
and
it's
then
just
people will
about
get
it's
more excited.
about 4.5 weeks since the announcement, I believe. So, and over the coming months, they'd be start to release things. But I would have thought something as major as a player profile wouldn't be the first one. I don't know. That's my opinion. Maybe it's something to do with like the league pages or something like that. I can't guess what it would be, but I
What
can't
makes
imagine
you
if it,
say player profile?
just because that's one of the examples that if you watch the video, the announcement video, you can
Mm,
see a sneak peek of like a complete overhaul of what it might look like.
I see.
It's not a fit. It's that if you to screenshot that or still image it and Jason Bourne enhance, you would see some grammatical errors and things that don't make sense. He's progressed like 3 trillion or something. I'm just making that up, but those sort of things. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
half the page is French, half the page is English. But those are sort of the things that we know will be upgraded at some points. I'm just top of my head. It
Mm.
could be something else, but that's just top of my head what I know it could be. But I don't know what it could be. But I'm excited though. Even this week I was on my phone. I was like, I know the font changed about 5 weeks ago, but I still feel like the font only just changed recently on my phone anyway. I'm not sure if it has changed slightly. Maybe Yak says they might have increased the font size across mobile devices over the last week. But I'm excited for any UI change.
Yeah,
So if it's anything
yeah.
like they've showed us, it's gonna be pretty sick. So.
Definitely. We'll see how it goes, and later on with our bench talk, I want to talk about the kits and the kit maker. So then, and the engine, of course. So then we can talk about those other things. And now the Diamond League. Only 3 matches left in the
The
Diamond
Farmers
League.
League. No,
The
I'm joking.
Farmers League. Yeah, Meta has already won. So congrats to Ronan yet again on another Diamond League title, 45 points. And the gap to Tango, the second place, is 11 points. So yeah, he already secured the title. But then that race for like the top three and especially the third place is super interesting. So Tango 34 points, then OM Legends. Maybe some credit, maybe shout out for Joe B for turning it around. We were kind of last week also with the hashtag kind of talking about him a lot and that he didn't have a great season, but somehow he turned it around yet again. So 31 points, the third spot. Then Bistion for 30 points. Goldfeathers 28. BC Barcelona 28. Roma 27. Dio Alliance 27. 3X 27. And Eric Barbarics Atletico 25. So there's kind of 6 points separating 3 to 10th. So 10th spot, 3rd to 10th spot. So it's super tight. We can talk about it maybe. And then Atletico Luchadores 20 points and Samba still 0 and only 1 goal scored. So that's really the diamond heist. So any thoughts on that table apart from like Joby a nice comeback and for me it's super interesting that it's so tight here that so much can happen. Like Dio could really end up in the 9th in the playoff spot, or yeah. So that's
I mean, it looks like even Joe B could end up in the playoff spot. I think like when I look at, because I've been out of Diamond now for a couple seasons, and I'm like looking at the projections right now, and it's crazy to me how much people have caught up to Ronin in the best 11. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen this recently, but you've got Meta for their best 11, 1053, Scrub at 1050, Dio at 1044, and then Herta at 1043. So even like 10 points splitting the top four for a best 11. And then like the next 10 points down goes to sixth. So like I remember in the past, Meta would have or Ronan would have a 30-point advantage on everybody, but he's still
11 points
He
clear.
still plays like
blown
he's
the
got that
league
30
away.
point advantage, doesn't he? He
Yeah.
still rips the league. I was just looking at his most recent Diamond League finishes in terms of points. So obviously he's on 45 right now. The max he can get is 54. He finished on 54 last season. If he wins all the next 3 games, that's one more win than he did last season. Last season he went 16-6-0, which is just phenomenal. I think we calculated it. It was something crazy. Like he hadn't lost a league game in like 30. And it's like, that is just outrageous. And then 54 points last season, 59 the year before. He won 19 out of a possible 22 games, which is hideous. 46 points. That was a pretty close one. Only 5 from second. 49. So, you could argue maybe the amount of points he's getting each season is coming down ever so slightly, but it's still, he still could be having a 10 plus lead here over second come the final day of the season. And like you said, Sturge, on paper, every other team is catching up to him, but it's almost as if doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter because the Meta mercenaries are so locked in, and almost when Ron's had that team since day one. You can see that it's someone who's had a project and a system, and it's just works. And there's only one out of these real seasons, or full seasons, he's lost, and that was a season he would probably put his hands up and say, "My guys didn't play well," and also I think the engine favoured what he likes to play with his, centre mids and cams, etc. Then after
always
that,
the engine's fault.
Yeah, always the engine. But never, don't hate the player, hate the game, and and he's smashing it. But yeah,
he then also deserves a bit more credit for his management, like his tactics, like because before it was really like, he has crazy good squad, but the gap between squads is closing. But also, he in the last 4 games was draw, loss, win. But another thing is probably that just this whole group behind him is beating each other the whole time. So there's not one clear rival for him, because they have, I think, less points. The second and the third spot probably have less points than before. So that's why there's still a big gap.
Yeah.
So competitive behind him, that whole group from pretty much second to 10th, you could say.
It's that 10th spot will be really interesting to see who falls into that, because like you said, Serge, it could even go up the way to Joe B up at 3rd with his legends. I know Biscione Milano is in another cup. He's in another cup final. We'll quickly move on to that.
We can talk about it. I put a picture below in our documents.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, the final is between BFC Manchester and Biscione Milano, because so Ballers Manchester beat Dio 4-1 in the semi-finals, the Amsterdam Lions, and Black MFC, so 20% stake of Sturge in there, 1-0 loss against Biscione Milano. So now it's Biscione against BFC Manchester. It would be crazy if a Plat side could win it.
If a Plat side wins, that would be great. Fair props to Joker and the BFC Manchester. I mean, look at them; they're currently sat 5th in Plat. They've got a chance to still fall 3rd, but I would imagine, and rightfully so, probably full focus on trying to get that Titans win under their belt, get that trophy, but also winning the Titans Cup is a huge payout. top of my head, I don't know, but if you give me 1 second, I'll be able to find out. It's 480,000 for winning, which is a huge amount. So especially for a platinum side, and for the DAO, it's big,
and
big for
that's
them.
probably an extra 60K on top of that from group wins as well.
Yeah.
But interesting thing there, like there's if BFC Manchester were in Diamond, they would be the 10th strongest team, so they would be relegation favorites as well. But additional shout outs, just like going back to Diamond League, like if you look at these team strengths, Joe B being third and Big Will being second is crazy because they're 6th and 8th strongest teams. So I feel like tactically, and like you see this back with like Ronan, like tactically some managers are able to consistently overperform. And when I look at these like strength ratings and then see the league table, like that's my standout takeaway.
I think Big will be happy he's not doing Crystal Palace and finishing like 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
Or I looked at I think his last 3, I always joke with him about this when I'm on streams. I think his last 3 seasons he's finished like 7th, 6th or something like that. Just Mr. Consistent at finishing mid-table, which to me just screams of your Fulham and your Crystal Palace, for those who watch the Premier in and out.
Yeah, but he's having a great season, Tango. I think they're the most, say this, overperforming. What you said, the predicted finish and a second. So great job from.
I was just going to quickly end on. I would hate to see the engine feedback and general chat if XVIX is the one who gets into that 10th relegation spot, because he's going to absolutely lose his mind in general. he loves to pick a bone when he can. So
that can be another conspiracy for later. That the Youngs would rig it just to have the biggest complainers lose, like to prevent a lot of complaints. All right, now more about that. Our little conspiracies. The market moves. Let's move on to that. Actually, for manager of the week, I thought it's like bench talk. So I want to give you guys the floor. Like, is there someone who should be manager of the week, like kind of a new guy, new voice in the community that's been active in general, that's been making a mark, or someone you've been talking to lately that is getting more? Like, is there maybe Jimbo from your streams? Is there any new manager that's very passionate and standing out that deserves like a shout out or deserves to be manager of the week?
Well, I'm not sure this counts as manager of the week, and I'm pretty sure it's just someone pulling our leg, and we just go along with it in the stream. We had someone come in that claims they're from North Korea, and we wasn't sure if they were going to make it into the stream on Thursday. They showed up on Wednesday, and they did actually show up on Thursday. We joked if they were working at McDonald's or not, and they're not. Caminator 15N or N15, if you listen to the pod. We I don't know how much I can say without without whatever. But
you have now those guys on LinkedIn who get those IT jobs, and they're all from North Korea.
Oh, I
That's
saw
one
that.
of the ways to make money. So maybe they think MFL is another avenue.
It could be
a way to get income, and they join your stream. So okay, but North Korean manager.
Yeah,
that can be a nice one.
Maybe when can we get Pyongyang as a location in? Will that ever be a thing? I don't know.
Yeah, we should put it on the list for next time. Sturge, do you have any shout or someone who joined in the past months, or maybe from your area?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I'm one of these like old timers that is not good at keeping up with recent trends. Like I'm trying to get back into like Discord activity a little bit more. But I've been, I think since I was last on, it was probably early few seasons, like S1, 2, and 3. I was still like pretty on all the channels. But my like community engagement has been a lot lower. It's like restricted to DMs. I've got my group of buddies that play this who are like my IRL friends from pre-MFL that I like have a group chat with in WhatsApp. But I couldn't give a new user. I would throw my MFL manager of the week to something balling just for slapping Ronan out of the cup. But that's more accomplishment driven than necessarily bringing up a new user.
Yeah. Okay. That was a good shout. Some spotlight on some people. So great. North Korean manager and something bowling. Good.
I
good
typed their
duo
Twitch
to,
username in the MFL, nothing pops up, so it might just be their Twitch username. But yeah,
We'll
I
see.
just found
We'll
it
see.
funny that it was actually someone was like, "Oh, I'm a massive follower." You've not even followed the account yet on Twitch, so why are you saying you're a massive follower? And they followed straight away after they said that as well. And they came back the next day, which was what was surprising. They came back and was like, I'm back. I've managed to escape." And I was like, "Oh, what is going on? Did we just entertain the story?" You better believe we did. And we just kept rolling on for it because it's always great, those sort of things.
Well, it's if he's really trolling and then coming back, that is funny. Some
Committed to the
dedication.
cause. Playing the long game.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Some moves. Common uncommons. I saw Make Think. He keeps buying $1 commons. I mean, that's not a shock, but he's also buying 32-year-olds $1. Why would you do that? What's like the philosophy behind that, you think? Is it to fill your flint clubs and spark clubs, or
That's something I can think of. Unless he
Are
knows some
they
retirement utility that we don't know about.
are they
Yeah.
pre-retirement 32-year-olds?
I didn't look into that much. I just saw he was buying loads of $1 guys, but also, yeah, at least 2 or 3 32-year-olds. So I was like, can she just buy younger ones, or what? Or do you want to fill teams, or what could be the philosophy behind it?
Raise the floor. I do think there's a little bit of a overreaction to the fear of retirement in the market. Just because like people act like treat a player that turned 29 as like, oh, he's on his way out, he's done. But like they can still have like on average, like depending on mint number, 8 more seasons of like utility. And like what you're gonna spend a whole lot more money on someone 2 or 3 years younger for what could just be like 25% more utility.
Yeah, I have some examples of that later,
Yeah.
indeed. So there's definitely a bit of a panic with kind of slightly older guys, but
Yeah.
I'll mention that one. But
Sure.
first, I have a little guess the price for you guys. This price kind of surprised me, but I want you to guess it. So there is an 84 rated center back. He's 20 years old, fresh from kind of probably a reward pack. This is his first season. He played like 18, 17 games. No progression. His passing, dribbling, and pace, passing, dribbling, and pace, they're all above 70. And he was bought by NetSuite from B sellers. What do you think the price was? So 84, center back 20 is kind of the other stats apart from the physical and the defending are all above 70, which is good usually.
I feel like I saw this. I'm like, as much as I'm not as active on MFL, I still scroll through the sales bot daily and like look at what's going on. Like, I have 2 numbers in my head. I'll say the lower one, 485.
I was gonna go about 450. Was gonna be what I was gonna go for. On the basis he's an 84 new mint. You know he's gonna be decent 85, but he's in tier jail, so it can be a bit deceptive sometimes of getting no progression at that age as well. They could just stay there for 4 seasons, then just go skyrocket.
Well, the price was 300.
Oh,
So I was like, wow, that's really a
that seems like
bargain.
quite a...
It didn't seem part of another deal.
Is he
but it was like
5'2"?
a real bargain.
Have we got
That I don't
any
know.
info on height?
But it felt really like kind of B-Stars just kind of getting rid of him, dumping him, or getting impatient with him. But I think NetSuite got
I think
has
that's
a good
a
deal
nice
there.
price for...
Yeah, that's a very nice price for a 20-year-old 84 center back.
For what on average should be 15 seasons of utility.
Yeah, plus if they usually have above 70 everything, that means they will also quickly go up with a bit of defending and a bit of physical. So good deal there for NetSuite. Legendary players, so yeah, 27-year-old Legos, they really seem to be sold for from like less than 300 even. So, for example, Sid, you got an 88 center back, 27-year-old for 269 USD. So that's really kind of low prices. I saw an 85 center back, 28 years old for 128 USD. So especially center backs and those kind of players are being sold for pretty low amounts. When they get a little bit older, as you said, Stuart, like 27, 28, still a lot of seasons in them, but people panic, I guess. On the other side, on the flip side, NLR, he bought a 91 rated striker, 28 years old, for 1,200. So some people still see the value in quality players that are a bit older. And finally, before we go to the splash, Eddie, he bought a silver club from Sao Gonçalo, Brazil, for 310. And I like that some people start buying silver clubs who are a bit in the relegation zone, so it's kind of a challenge. Can you keep them up? You get the rewards, they stay in silver, you have then a silver club. And it's funny, it's also good to see manager stepping up because he only had Stone Club before. So good to see such things. Jimbo, over to you.
Ooh, splash of the week. I'm not sure he knows it, but yes, Sturge, you are this week's splash of the week. So I'm going to announce the name, the overall, and the price, and I'm going to let you take the floor if you'd like to and talk us through this deal. So we mentioned Joe B earlier with his OM Legends. He has sold Benito Macia, 93 rated, right mid, left mid cam for 2,300 US dollar, US tariff dollars. Sorry, always got to say it like that. US tariff dollars. So none other than Sturge with us today. Sturge, talk us through this this deal. This might be an exclusive first for our listeners that someone on the pod has also or is also the splash of the week. So take it away.
I didn't even think of this coming in, but and I feel like this might be my first splash of the week. I've definitely made some big signings in down the last few years, but I think I was on a couple of sale splashes of the week, but this is my first time on the receiving end. But I mean, pretty much the short of it is like Joe B, when he announced he was out, I just wanted to make like, and this happens so frequently. Every season, one of the big dogs says, I'm getting out of here. All my agency is up for sale. And I always like reach out and just see. And often, like almost every time, it's a false start and their prices are like valued above market rate. And as the week has progressed and like Joe B's, like I grabbed 3 players from Joe B in that like acquisition. It was the right mid, left mid, May right back for 92, a player I've been watching since like early season 1. Or it was probably 3 or 4 when he was minted. And then Gisela, a German center back at 92. So it was 3 of those coming in. None of them, like the dollars were all individual, but like quote unquote group discounted. And I definitely, like, as the days have passed, feel like I could have gotten a better deal because Joe B's prices are coming down. And I have, like, I still had the Joga money from a few months ago, like, saved in my Dapper, and a few other sales that, like, were just sitting in my Dapper and looking into, hey, next season, likely I'm going to be in Diamond. And I have a 93 right mid retiring. So I need the replacement. And so I always had in my mind I was going to deplete my Dapper balance to like boost the squad. I actually made another deal for a right mid a few days prior to Joe B announcing his departure, another 93. And I think it was with, let me just validate this, either Dane or Duff. I always get those two mixed up. Dane. Yeah. And like the challenge I have, I don't even need a right mid as much as I need a left mid. but there are 6 left mids in the game that fit the criteria for what I'm looking for. Scrub owns 3 of them. Dio owns 1. Like Joe B has another, and then Eric has 1. And none of these players were willing to move them on. So I was like immediately priced out from my main target.
Yeah.
I do have a 94 right mid in Franklin that can play left. So my plan was to just like do a new right mid instead because it would be easier. Sign Dane's right mid, and then Joe B announces, and I'm like, oh my God, this Masia guy is crazy. And I just wanted to make sure I was capitalizing on the moment when Joe wanted to leave. And we ended up reaching an agreement. It did take a few days of back and forths. And now I have my eyes on a couple other of his players too. So the sickness of season 8 planning is already underway. But yeah, it
Great.
was a good one.
He's a very
And now
This is maybe-
seeing him in third, I'm just like, I wonder if he regrets getting out now.
Yeah, but this because you also said, according to Bastiste, like his team now dropped a little bit. But maybe is it because he was selling, or was it already because before the season?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure why, because I
factoring.
thought he started a lot stronger than 7th
Yeah,
on
I
the
think
list
so. So
as
maybe
well.
it's already dropped because of him trying to get out. But yeah, now he is again third. So
Yeah,
and we saw Herta announcing, like that's the usual tradition, right? Somewhere he announces every season that he sells everything. So. But yeah, Gracie profited from that, and indeed, Jimbo. I don't know if you read out the stats yet, but he's crazy. One of the most all-round best players, I would say.
Yeah, for those who don't know his stats, so 93 pace, 91 shooting, 93 passing, 95 dribbling, 92 defending, and 94 physical. And we mentioned he's a right mid, left mid cam. So he's a 93 at right mid. Then he's just a 92 at cam and left mid as well. So because of his all round stats, it means a triple position is, he's basically the same player in any position, which is extremely versatile and gives you so much flexibility as a manager to adjust things when you need to throughout the season, whether that's for prolonged periods of time, whether it's on a matchup, the matchup basis. It just gives you, Sturge, whoever's got those sort of players, great power in knowing you can be flexible like that. So, I think he's a player that many of us are jealous that you've picked up. So congrats to you.
And yeah, without familiarity, this guy would be a 90 everywhere, right?
Yeah,
just he would be a 90 everywhere. 90.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
Because all his stats are above 90, so he would be a 90 everywhere. So that's says enough how crazy good he is.
I just hope I don't pack a 93 right mid in my rewards this season after picking up.
I'm
2.
sure there will be a place
could
for
use a
somewhere.
loan if you need one.
Yeah,
if you get out somewhere.
They're
we'll
quite hard to get.
I'll give you 95% for this one player.
Okay, quick IRL MFL. Jimbo, any PFL experiences? Tips?
Having to still adjust to this defensive contribution stuff, even though I'm not really in, with FPL got my head round it, just sort of understanding when they kick in. Funnily enough, my sister she's in her work league for FPL. She said, do you mind doing it for me? I've never played it before, but I want to win. I was like, well, bearing in mind I always come like 3rd or 4th in like the paid leagues I go in. I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it for you. So I gave her a lineup Friday morning, right? I was like, I'm going to put Meth in because I want to do well for her. Then, she can try and win some money. Then come into the season. Where she works, I doubt there's going to be people who are really going to care that much. It's because it's £10, half it goes to charity, half it goes towards the prize pool. And I gave her a lineup, and I changed mine during the day. Few players in, and lo and behold, she's on double the amount of points than me. And I'm like, if I just kept my own lineup and kept the faith I had, then I think she's on like 75 or something now, with a couple players still to go. She was on 62 after Saturday, and I was on 39. I just went, if I'd have just kept that lineup. But I've got a few players in there, which I know, Cava, you're going to mention one of them in Reinders, like who've just started the season so well. Salah's scoring was an absolute godsend. on the Friday, which you either love that goal, or if you don't own Salah and you don't captain him, you're literally fuming your head off that he scored a last-minute goal with his right foot. I watched it with a friend, and I love the emotion FPL does that it brings to you. It either ruins your weekend or it makes it. A bit like MFL sometimes. It can either make your day, your evening, your morning, whatever, whenever your games are, or it really destroys them. And for those who don't know, if you've not conceded, if you played 60 minutes of a match and you've not conceded, your defender, your midfielders get 1 point, but your defenders get a clean sheet bonus of +4. And Kirkes for Liverpool had been booked, but he was on a clean sheet and he got subbed off.
And Frimpong.
Yeah, and Frimpong,
same
and
thing.
Frimpong, same thing. So both fullbacks got subbed off in the 59th minute and 45 seconds. It doesn't round it up. It all depends on what second they walked off the pitch on. If they walked off the pitch before 60 minutes, they don't get the points. And literally, my mate, they threw up the subs board, and it didn't show his number. And he went, "Oh, it's Frimpong. He's not Kirkes." And then the camera just pins to Kirkes walking off the pitch, and he's like, "Fuck!" He's just screaming down, angry. And lo and behold, 20 minutes later, Salah scored. It didn't have Salah at all in his team, so he was absolutely seething at that fact that he missed out on clean sheet. Salah got a goal, and Salah gets 1 bonus for being a fraud, as he always does. So yeah, FPL's back, Premier League's back. Great to have it. There was a funny thing where actually on Saturday, the first game of the day was 0-0, then we had a 1-0, we had a 2-0, we had a 3-0, and we had a 4-0. And it was like, I think we had had a 1, 2, 3, 0, a 0-0, a 1, 2, and a 3. And someone went, "Will it be 4-0 Man City Wolves?" It was 4-0 Man City Wolves. So, not that anyone would ever have that bet on unless you're a chronic addict at betting.
But it was the other way around because every home team was 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Yeah. So I was like, is Wolves about to win 4-0? And I sent a note to my boys and I was like, yo, I think this is crazy, but I'm seeing the pattern. Misread signs from the universe.
Yeah, so Reinders, I'm very happy. I wrote down Reinders and Roofs also, the new goalie from Sunderland.
Yeah, fair play to Sunderland. Great result for them.
The Dutchies doing well, their debut in the Prem. Yeah, and I also heard he has a great song already, Roofs. Like the Roofs is on fire, or like who lets the dogs out? Roofs. Who keeps the goals out? That was it. Who keeps the goals out? Roofs. So that's great song to sing.
It was good to Sunderland after, I think, 8 years of not being in the Prem, to see them winning 3-0 in their home game against West Ham. Yeah, obviously if you're a Newcastle fan, you won't enjoy me saying this, but when you have those fans at Sunderland who are dedicated hardcore fans, when they scored their first goal, there was just limbs, and I love seeing it when there's just bodies and limbs being thrown around. You just know for that moment in time, they are absolutely reveling in those goals going in and loving it. And then they get 2 more after that, and they're like, oh, there must have been so much drink being consumed on that Saturday, let alone before the game, but after the game. It would have been an absolute place to be in, Sunderland. But yeah.
Great. Premier League started again, so more updates every week pretty much. Finally, Sturge, in the update section, we have our beer top 3. So you can change something and add your favorite beer. Number 1, we have a new number 1 last week. John Smith's, big Mr. K14, put it there. Ignusa, second place. Kev's Choice and Taggart endorses it. And Via Roma from Josh XLS on the third spot. So do you have a favorite beer?
Just before, Sturge, you get into this, you pointed at a poster behind you. That drink cannot be picked, because it's already been mentioned.
No one has picked this drink.
Someone is it one behind? If I can't, it's chopped off. I can only see the last 3 letters.
Oh,
but if it's what I think it is it a Guinness?
What? Yeah, it's a Guinness. Has it already been picked?
It's been picked, yeah. McBride Ace, the Scotsman, picked it, and it got removed. So therefore, it cannot be entered back into the list again, unfortunately.
So I'm not a very big beer drinker, so I feel like, I don't know if I'm a good person to be contributing. I do love a Guinness. I dislike IPAs. I don't know if you listed an IPA on the list, but if there's one there, I would maybe defer to one of you, or even
No,
I don't
please.
know.
We need John Smiths to be removed from the number one spot. If you flew back into London right now and there wasn't a Guinness, and I said, Sturge, I'm getting you a beer. I probably wouldn't call you Sturge. I'll go, Sturge, getting you a beer.
Yeah,
What would? Yeah, go on. A pre-Arsenal game.
What's the Arsenal beer sponsor? What's like the beer at the stadium?
I think
It's
Guinness.
Guinness, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah. Well, what if am I tripping on thinking there's a Guinness Black? Is that a different?
Ooh, we might have to get VAR involved here.
Are there any rules on that? Guinness Black? If we can have a Guinness variety, or
You've just got me. You shouldn't have someone who's Googling beers to select the beer to replace the top three as a volunteer.
or maybe have some kind of nostalgic when you were in college, or like some kind of infamous American beer.
Yeah, but then I'm just gonna make myself look basic. I'm just like, oh, let's put in a Heineken for the Champions League, or just go old school with a Carling. I don't dislike Carlings, but
have we had Carling? I don't think we've had
I don't
Carling.
think we had. I don't think so.
I feel like that's not a good beer, though.
No, it's still better than John Smith, so I'll take it still.
What is the Japanese one?
Asahi? No. Is that Japanese?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Asahi is.
Yes.
Asahi.
Asahi. I think,
Asahi is Japanese.
Yeah, there's Asahi. There's Sapporo. No, I can't pick any of these. I don't know shit. Throwing the Carling. Fuck it.
Okay.
Bad pick will probably get replaced, but
Jimbo requests first spot.
Yeah, you can pick first, second, or third, but I can't influence your decision. But for the love of God, please replace number one, which is John Smith.
I don't know if I can honor it. I need to go third because I feel like it's disrespectful to have a beer like Carling in anyone's top three.
Okay. No, we respect the decision.
Yeah. So number 3, Via Roma is gone.
I think we've got like 2 episodes left before this becomes formalized, and I cannot have John Smith's.
Well,
we can't have John Smith's. We've got to be tactical with our guests now. We've got to pick big old, who's alcoholics among the community.
Beer experts.
The big drinkers that we could look to.
Well, so John Smith's still number 1. Big Mr. K put it there. Ignusa second, and Carling no.
John Smith and Carling on the same leaderboard.
So let's start our bench talk about a lot of topics, and maybe we talk more about one than the other, but just talk about some things that maybe don't deserve a full episode, but we definitely should talk about it. A little warming up the kit maker. How excited are we for the kit maker? How much time would you put in it? What do you expect from it? Any reactions?
I'm looking forward to it. I probably already, when I created the Wyverns and did all their colors and things like that, I'm probably already set with how I want the kit to look. I think from recollection, seeing things initially, we might get sort of like 12 different patterns or so. I think that's what the current new photorealistic player kits are. I think it's like 12 variations of patterns, I think. So I guess my thought would be we get that and we just get to dictate the primary, secondary colors, I would imagine. And if there's like a trim, like a tertiary color on them, how some kits do, get to dictate that. But I've already got mine all set. It gives extra flavor, like we say, Calvin, doesn't it? And and it's something which, when you've not got a game on, or you want to just play more MFL and get indulged in the game more, it's there for you to do. Some people will spend 5 minutes on it, some people will spend 5 hours on it. And I love the fact that you can do either of those things and still have a great time.
Do we know if it will update the player's picture?
We don't know if it's immediately, but it's definitely the plan eventually. But I don't know if it will be straight away. I think it's
I'm indifferent over a kit creator. I do think it's good, but I'm not too fussed about the cosmetics, although I would like, if I do have a kit for a team, the players then wear the kit. That would be a
Yeah.
cool touch. But I could imagine
Yeah.
that not being as straightforward, especially with photorealism now.
Yeah, I wonder how hard it is, but yeah, definitely then generating those templates for social media to have kind of man of the match, your guy in your kit as man of the match, those kind of things would be really good.
Man of the
to,
sorry, I just got man of the matches when like in different continents and different leagues, they don't have enough money. They're just like, oh, your man of the match reward is a chicken. You've seen those ones where it's like in
yeah, the
South
Norwegian
America
league, the
or like
eggs or
South
something.
African leagues. They're like, here's
Yes.
your reward. And it's so sweet, and they look really happy with it as well.
But yeah, it is a bit of flavor and it's nice, and hopefully it will be even more epic if you sign guys to a team and they will start wearing your kit. Right, that if you look at Roland's players, you see some Meta Mercenaries kits and then some of his other Keto Mercenaries or some other teams. But we'll see. And then eventually we think also about sponsors, right? Like maybe WenDirkCast and Wensen Wyvern sponsored by WenDirkCast, like those kind of things. That would be really cool
That
to
would be
have.
cool.
But,
The Euler
yeah.
money coming in and sponsoring a team. The Americans, American, celebrities coming and doing a Wrexham, which lost again this weekend. Come on, love that. But
yeah, if people, if you have like some people with their own companies or they have their own stores or I don't know, you just chuck them on their shirt, and then you're sponsoring your
just telling
your
the
NFL team,
shareholders
so.
why this quarter's dividend has gone down by X%. Sorry, we've just invested in a Metaverse football club. What the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Trying to shill that to the shareholders.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. So the new UI we kind of talked about already, right? Before we do all the engine and conspiracy and all that stuff, I was wondering about the photorealistic players. I feel I'm totally used to them already. I don't even think about the old style anymore. Is it the same for you guys? Do you feel like everyone's now totally used to it and it's great, or is there some nostalgia in your longing back for your cartoon guys?
I feel very used to it as well, except I always get surprised when I open MFL player info and it like defaults to the old pictures. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah,
like,
it is.
what? That's what he looks like or used to look like? That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say the same thing, but for Alexa's MFL assistant, when it gives you the daily progression reports, and it gives you them and the email you get with summarizing your progression for the day, those are in the old style as well. And I'm like, oh, I feel like it's quite nice that little throwback, and you go back and see them again, even though they're not updated because it's just like the old photos. But yeah, I'm completely used to it now. Just sort of numb by it. Not numb by it's not probably the best thing to say, but I've just embedded
No, the
well.
same. So,
It shows
and
the smooth
it's funny
transition of
that
it.
you're now so used to it that it starts looking weird in Alexis's tool or on player info. So maybe those
Mhm.
guys, I don't know how hard it is, but probably you could load some other data from the database or metadata, or I don't know how that works. Not a technical person, but it would be nice to have it all kind of consistently showing the photorealistic dudes. But I think this is the broader sentiment in the community, right? There's no protest movement. Bring back the old guys. Everyone's
No,
used to it.
there's no. Oh yeah, there's no group or protesting in the general. Like we're gonna strike and forfeit our games for the whole league or something along those lines. In throwing their arms up because of the old players. No, it's none of that. Which I think
Yeah.
is
No,
quite nice. Shows that
and I
smooth
think
transition.
it looks better too. Like I think of coming in as a new user, and while we got used to those old animated like players that we had, when they do pop up, I'm like, wow, this looks like not so great, and that was just what the game was for so long, and now I feel it just adds to the marketability and like polish of the game as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think the transition has been successful, and we had a bit of a awkward phase, maybe a bit of community, bit of complaints, bit of like some bad sentiment about it. But now I think everyone's used to it. Everyone is happy with it, and yeah, it's much better for the future of MFL. So good, great. So we can say this has been done successfully. The photorealistic guys. So let's do the big topic, then the engine. So I think there's a couple of elements. Maybe Sturge say like about the variants and like upsets, and that it's like there's maybe more of them, and is that a bad thing? And then some people coming up with conspiracy theories. Sorry, by the way, Taggart. Shout out to Taggart for kind of plugging this interview to him. We're not going to do a full episode about it, but it's maybe fun to talk about some of them and mention some of those theories.
He suggested the idea of a conspiracy theory, and we said we'll get him on to do a full episode of conspiracy theories once we've got enough in the bank to fully drown out like an hour's worth of discussion about conspiracy theories. But we still wanted to bring it on here because we've seen over the last couple days, even weeks, about maybe some people, some of their messages would infer that they've got some conspiracy theories on the engine.
Yeah. So what would you say are some theories, or what are the biggest complaints?
I reckon one of them is that 2 engines, one for the first half of the season, one for the second half of the season. Some people wholeheartedly probably believe, and I've gone through it at times where I'd change nothing throughout my mid-season transfer window, changed nothing, brought in no one, left no one, and now my team loses 7 in a row. What's going on? What's going on, brother? It sometimes does feel like there is massive differences between the engine from the first half of the season and the second half of the season. So I definitely think that is probably one of the top conspiracies of the engine.
Yeah, and some people even say leak in a cup. There's a leak engine and a cup engine. Right? So you have like a first half and second half, and then you have a cup and a leak. So it kind of keeps expanding. But how would you counter that then, Jimbo? How would you counter if people say, how is that possible? First half, I do great. I don't change anything. Second half, I suck.
I'm not sure I can give a truthful answer just that doesn't start with a V. And that's variance. I do. It's... Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe there's I know there's not. We all know there's not. But I think you are just... If you lose 7 games in a row, it's probably something you could change about that. If it's once or twice, you could argue that's just unfortunate variance. But what is it like? Once is... 2's a coincidence, 3's a trend, or whatever that saying is. 1's an anomaly, 2's a coincidence, 3's a trend. But losing...
I think
yeah, go on.
No, I've been like throwing a few trolls in some of the chats recently, but it's like ultimately it's cope. And like I think one of the beauties and curses of MFL is that there is no AI teams. We're all people managing, playing, owning assets. And I think a lot of people are sore losers, and variance in football happens. Like, look at the Arsenal United game this morning. Like, we didn't deserve to get anything from that game, but we got 1-0. But also, too, like, I've been tracking a lot of, like, all of my results this season. In my preseason testing this season, I was not just tracking results, but also XG. And there were, like, clear differences between tactics. And the way that I test is, like, super controlled variables, and like tactics perform very differently across like 30 game spells based on XG, and the XG oftentimes like does lean towards the actual points, because like I look at it from the sense of like, if I score 1 XG higher than you, I deserve to win the game. If it's within 1, a draw is acceptable. But you can also just like get caught focusing on like one result, a couple of results, and like ignoring the larger like scale of a season, which like isn't even that many games. Like we play 22 league games if you have a full league. That's not a huge sample size. Like you need to test, like even the few hundred I tested in preseason is not a big sample size. And it makes it so easy to go, oh, Black MFC beat Meta Mercenaries. Like, engine's broken. But Black MFC's. I played him in 10 friendlies like after that game happened, and I won one game. And like our overalls are like not too dissimilar. Like there's 4 or 5 overall points between us. So in my head, like, yes, variance plays a role, but tactics play a huge role. Like something Ballin's got some, like he's dialed on the way he plays. Even Ronan rematched something Ballin after he knocked him out of the cup, lost again.
Yeah.
He then proceeded to win a couple, but like this is Meta Mercenaries, best team in the game, playing a very strong plat team that will likely be in Diamond next season. But I think people are just like sleeping on the impact of team instructions and maybe like overemphasizing an upset or a bad day in front of goal.
Yeah, the majority of people are sore losers. I'm even a sore loser at times. We've all been sore losers at times, and MFL is a very zero-sum game where if you remove the outcome of a draw, if everyone wins, if every game ends in a win, 50% of the player base is lost, and 50% of the player base can get really fucking angry at the fact they've lost. There's not many games that do that where you can have 50% of your user base has lost, and how many of those people are gonna be sore losers or just seethe and just rage? We've all been there. We've all done it. Just about how you sort of, I guess, control your emotions in that sense. But yeah, there are multiple things that can impact a result, and it's not just big number on front of card bigger than yours, so therefore I must win, which I still think a lot of people still think that
Which
is one
like,
of the main things
but
that's
people
affect the game.
complaining about the engine, almost like, do you want it to be big number wins? Like that's stupid in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, and so one man's upset is another man's tactical master stroke, or so. It's like, yeah, it's maybe something balling. Yeah, he's like the Pep Guardiola, and then Meta Mercenaries feels it's like
Yeah.
it's the engine is broken. So
Well,
no,
and
it's good to have
I
it.
also I'm sure we should put like one of the MFL team on this, or even just someone smarter than I. But how many tactical variations are there in this game? Because we have a ton of different formations. The dials on team instructions have like 10 or 12 different bars they can be at, 3 different buttons for the like bigger ones, and then you look at team instructions. Like there is probably so many possible ways to play this game that like, and I have this back and forth with Scrub a lot because like I tease him for saying like, you think you're a tactical genius when like you ran a few hundred games of testing. What do you know?
There will always
And
be
he's like,
someone who's better than you. That's all.
yeah,
There'll always be someone.
yeah.
Always be someone that's better than
Like
you
I
at
was
testing
only
too.
able to test 15 variations of like different tactics today or like before the season. And it was all like, not like it like that took like 300 games. Like there's like that's a tiny drop in the like sea of potential formations to play. So yeah, I found one that performed well out of 15, but I don't have time or even like the resources and means to just like quick sim 1,000 games for me.
Yeah. And
Although,
on a short side note, I do think that the people who have teams dialed in are those who own all their players and their teams and have had them on their teams for multiple seasons. You could argue that's almost like IRL. If you've got a club, the one that always strikes my mind is like QPR in the Prem about 10 years ago, where they had loads of money, brought in loads of great players individually, never had any cohesion, relegated straight away. But if you play someone who's had the same 16 players for 4 or 5 seasons, they've had, yes, the engine changes, but they've had 4 or 5 seasons to dial the tactics for the exact same set of players. Well, that's something that I sometimes struggle with, is that the Wyverns, I'm always owning about 4 or 5 players a season. I love that because I'm allowed to do that, and it makes me not have to own all the players from, like, say, like a monetary point of view. The loading system's great for that, but it means it does take me a while to adjust to using those new players and how they fit into a system, which is a problem that managers have in real life when they bring in new players from a transfer window. They've got to let them in bed for a while. So I often find the players who've got some dialed. I remember seasons ago, Finn had a 3-5-2-B, And I had 352B nailed for like 4 seasons. I played against him, slightly weaker team, smashed me like 9 games in a row. And I went, that's not just variance unlucky. He has just tactically outdone me 352B versus 352B. And I was like, fair play to you. But you hand up and go, yeah, my masterclass has been outmastered. I'm now sat like Sean Dyche, where I thought I was. I am Pep Guardiola. I'm not.
And I'm also thinking, like, maybe it would be good. Well, the team wants to add things like chemistry and maybe form or something. I don't know. But then it will give people more reasons, like another thing to think. There can be an upset, but maybe your guys were out of shape. They were not in form or something. Or they had low morale or they had low chemistry. So I don't know if it is good that you have then more argumentation why your team lost, or then the upsets get even worse because my guys were in form and you have great chemistry and they still lost against a slightly worse team. So it can make it also worse again. I think people will always find a reason, right? They will always will say it's rigged or it's engine is broken.
Yeah, you said right at the beginning.
It's a scope. I think. Sturge, what you said. It's just scope. It's scoping.
And you always blame the engine, not yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't blame themselves. Don't accept it's like life. It's like things sometimes don't go your way. And yeah.
But there's definitely 2 engines a season. I'm sure of it. I'm certain of it.
But it's literally what conspiracy theories are about, right? It's just an easy explanation. Like it gives you some. It's just like we don't know if the vaccine really works and blah blah. I'd say it's a microchip, Microsoft, Bill Gates, whatever, and then you know it. And you can sleep. So
yeah, but do people who have been vaccinated perform better at MFL? Is there a correlation between? Should we test that out?
If you got vaccinated, Bill Gates made sure you play better.
That could explain Ronin's season.
Yeah, that's it. And any other things about that engine or?
I mean, I'd throw a conspiracy out there, something we chatted about earlier, that like old players are worth it. I don't know if that's a good conspiracy. I've been buying a lot more old players too. I'm loving these discount snags.
I think that's sort of like a trend and just opinion, isn't it? That people believe, or people are scared and hesitant of retirement. I think you could maybe say your statement would be that people overreact to a player's age and are too fearful of a retirement symbol, which I want to get your opinion on this, Sturge. And tell me, how did you feel when Jose Pont revealed that he was retiring when he hit 29? How did you feel at that?
I mean, I was very sad, but and I feel like when you shot me notes probably a few months ago of like season prep, and I like gave you the little like essays on it, or the replies. But it's like it is that like retirement kiss of death to where like on rollover day, if your player's turning 29, risky. And then you just like that first refresh in the morning when you're just like, okay, like, do I see any clipboards or whatever this icon is supposed to be?
Like a calendar sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is a calendar, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I was like, it is what it is, like none of these guys are going to live forever. I think that's like another thing that potentially leads into this like cope and like threat of exits and frustration with the game is that like in 2 years time, like half your agency is going to be gone. And if you've got a heavy investment in trying to play in some of the higher leagues and things don't go your way and the clock is ticking, like that just adds to the pressure and stress of trying to run competitive MFL. Same in real life footy, real life sports, even in most workplaces. Like clock is ticking, a lot of pressure. He is my only retiree. So I got lucky last season. But I definitely have like, if you look at all of the players that are over 93 overall, there's only a handful of them that are not in the window of like threat. But I still see three seasons of utility to me is like still solid, like that's potentially like, I just closed the tab, damn it. Like in Plat, it's like $500,000. Like good teams getting $500,000 plus every season. You contribute to that for 3 years, like that generates me another legendary player. So like I don't think I play smart in terms of like what I do with my dollar MFLs, because I buy Lego packs because I want to be able to rip 3 or 4 a season to replenish what's like going out of the game. I know not everyone does that. Some people like to buy the commons to flip to like recognize return. It's definitely the smarter way to do things. But I'm here to play a game, have fun, and try to compete.
Yeah, but that's maybe for conspiracies. It's going to be another thing. If you get hit with free, if Ronan gets hit with free ultimates, retiring after rollover day, then
Yeah,
maybe more
that's
complaints and more cope needed.
the window
right?
opening up for a new diamond, big boy.
Yeah. But that's I think really one of the most exciting things happening is with in diamonds some big retirements, big announcements, and then that whole market's going to shift. How are you going to replace? I know that right back, Ronan's right back, he's like leading the assists, I think, or second in assists. He has to replace that. He has to find 8 assists somewhere else, pretty much.
I
Like another
packed.
good right back.
I was original owner of that guy. I packed him in one of my Lego reward packs. And at the time, I was like not competing in diamond. I think it was before aging. So I was like, I don't need this guy. Let's get rid of him and get some plat level players in. And I definitely, when he got the retirement kiss, asked Ronan if he was interested in letting go, but it was still a pretty hefty tag. So 3 seasons just depends on the value.
When we see this, almost we'll call it like a, not the great reset, I guess we can call it, but focusing on diamond and some of those
More
players,
conspiracy.
the great reset, more conspiracies. When we see some of these top diamond managers and the players that they own start to retire, we will really, in say 6-7 seasons time, or if not a little bit longer, maybe 8, we will start to see who are the great managers who have planned for those events. And I'm a firm believer that has to start now. You have to start looking, like Ronan picked up a new centre mid on Splash of the Week, or no, it wasn't even Splash of the Week last week. I think it was a second or third in last week's. I think it was a new centre mid, 20 years old or 23 years old, picking up players to replace those if they do retire the next 3-4 seasons. You have to start thinking about it now, because you could get hit with 2 weeks time. Less than 2 weeks time, you could be hit with 4 retirements coming in 3 years time, and you're panicking. People will panic, and that's where the planning. Chance favors the prepared is a lovely saying I tell myself, but never actually action it and do it myself. But we'll see who's been preparing now for when it happens to 7-8 years time season.
And I think it also like throws into, like, puts MFL into this context of like eras of the game. Like, yeah, we're in early MFL era where Ronan has dominated the last 15 years. But you like go back history in like the top leagues in England is the only one I'm really like super familiar with. But like Tottenham dominated in the 60s, and like Liverpool after them. And then like United came up 90s, and then it went to like Arsenal started like ankle biting, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, like, and even like, and you go back even further is like Nottingham Forest used to be like big dogs in England, and it's just how the like tide shift. And I think if you are trying to stay relevant at the Ronin level, like, I mean, everyone has to ask themselves the question of, are they trying to like continue playing this game and like contributing more money, or just play with the hands that you're dealt? And I think there are ways to turn dollar MFL into like USD to then reinvest and like do the smart like future planning. But like, if you want to be like Ronin level domination, if he wants to keep that up for another 15 seasons, like he's got to get some lucky pulls and rewards, or like good sales on packs that he's doing, because like you genuinely need like I remember looking not too long ago before like when there were only 30 ultimates or maybe even 15 ultimates in the game, and Ronan had more than half of them. And I'm like, that's why he's like doing so well. Now like there is a lot more and the distribution is like much wider. And those players are steep. Sorry, I rambled way too long there.
No, but maybe there's another topic. I saw you in that is a bit connected to this. In general, about the Lego supply. I think you were also replying to some people there about, are there gonna be too many Legos, or is it gonna be Legos in bronze soon, or like now silver is all Lego?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I
So
mean,
what were your takes on that?
I
Set?
I missed a bronze promotion with my San Diego side, which is where I live right now, where I'm calling in from, and I put a few Legos on there the last season to make sure they got promoted. And now they're in silver and they are fully Lego kitted. But I don't think that's good overall spirit of the game. I think that's like selfish, me trying to go up, which like managers do. But I did like it, like back in me being the old timer here, yelling at the kids to get off their skateboards. Like I remember when Platt, like I had a good Platt team, and I had like 7 or 8 Legos. Everyone else was rare, and now like try doing that in even like silver, you can't. You get relegated. So. Or maybe I'm also out of touch with what's required.
No, I think I even mean like when my wyverns are in iron starting season 1, barking at people for having like five rares in iron, and now
Yeah.
you've got to have at least like 78, 79s to sit mid table, and it's just the power of strength creep, but also people's fear of not performing well and people's greed to go up the ladders quickly, and you combine those two emotions together and you get the outcome which we have today in the divisions across the pyramid.
Yeah,
Which I
but now
don't
we're
think is
just
bad.
No.
Yeah, but we're just in this awkward phase before the mass retirement kicks in, and they try to make the rares more rare with like the rebalancing. But yeah, before we get that, and before we might see less legendaries in bronze and in silver. It will take
But I
some
also think,
seasons, right?
do you not think it will be good if like MFL never drops a legendary pack again? Sure, you can buy Lego rewards from the dollar MFL you use, but like think of the world of football and how many world class like legendary players in the real game just like spawn into existence. Like sure, Lamine Yamal is a like great recent example of someone who is like an 88, 89, if not even like low
spawned at
90s
its
player.
16 at like world class.
Yeah. But like if everyone is just rares climbing up and becoming like, holy crap, this guy went from like a 75 to an 86. He's killing it in Division 4, Division 3. Like that should be how the metaverse then like funnels up talent. I think that would be way cool. That would be super cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for the near future, definitely no Lego packs and just from rewards only.
It will be super interesting to see if they go down the route of never selling Lego packs again. How much does that shift because we know that, like you said, Calver, every rarity became more or the legendary and rare players became more rare, in the distributions. So when you have no Lego packs, which I think probably around December time will be the 2-year mark, or maybe even into the fall of or the start of 2026 will be about a 2-year anniversary of no Lego packs being for sale. But how many Lego players? I'd love someone to be able to do some calculating to see how many of those Lego players were in the ecosystem pre-season 1, basically, or how many of them are from pack sales, from dedicated legendary packs.
Well, and even like how the distribution of like how many ultimates do we have now versus back in season 1 pre-ultimate, but like and rares, and how many Legos of the current population have spawned from being a rare or even like I saw a crazy example of the other day from like someone went from 47 up to like 94 or something. I was like, what the hell? 90. It's like a 40 plus overall development. But like seeing numbers around that would be pretty cool, because then we could like, and I'm sure the MFL team are doing this, but like forecasting the different scenarios of, hey, in 5 seasons, likely 10% of the existing Lego pool will be out, but 15% of that will, or like all of it will be replaced by like natural progression and development.
I guess as well, we're in this unique scenario where we've had a massive boom and growth in MFL. So we've had an increase in player supply because there's been more packs for sale to meet that demand, which doesn't feel like the rarity distributions have actually decreased because there's an increase of supplies. It still feels like the same percentages to prior. So when we see things maybe level out a bit in terms of growth, I don't want that to happen. The game still grow, but at the rate it's doing, do we maybe not see those rarity percentages actually feel like they're coming into effect until 6-7 seasons time? Maybe
It will take some time.
it takes some time to adjust, because these sort of things, we've had 15 seasons, most effects don't really kick in, probably minimum 5, and 6, 7, a player's life cycle even, which could be up to, depending on age, whatever, like 16 years or so.
Well, and I think too that even like ties into like the current perception of cheap Legos at the lower end. And I think it ties directly to strength creep. Like if you say right now silver leagues are mostly not all Lego, but like high population Lego. A silver league, a D4 player was never going to come in and spend big ticket on players. So the price is like back when silver was like early season 0.3, 4, 5, price to get a big player was like $200. And now that big player is just no longer a 82, it's a 85, 86, and it's still $200. So I think like that's another conspiracy of like market crashing. Obviously, I say this with a big portfolio. Financial advice, no. But the value of like lower end Legos to me makes total sense based on like where those players end up playing in the pyramid. Similar spending power to what it's always been, and now we just have 10 or 11 tiers versus the 6 that we had in the beginning.
Yeah, no, definitely. But maybe we can talk about that a little bit, about prices. So you said a bit of a conspiracy, but what do you mean with the conspiracy, or what have you noticed with market prices? Maybe is it, we said before it was a bit overheated and now it's coming down to a bit more.
Well, and that's kind of what, I don't know if it's coming down. Like I do think it's coming down at the Lego end again, because
little, you see some things, right? Little bit.
Yeah. But it's like a combination of aging coming in and like utility expiring. It's a combination of that, and like now an 85 is not good enough for platinum, so send it to the D3, D4 budget tier. And then, but I think like player prices down at the tier 11 or like Flint plus, Flint to Iron, prices are through the roof. Like it's not like, sure, 30-year-olds, late 20s might like start to see the decline, but what did sales look like? And this is a hypothetical, I don't know the answer to this, but like the cost of a 20-year-old 2 years ago in real life versus the cost of a 20-year-old same position today. Like I don't imagine that like we've seen this like huge decrease in, oh man, like we're down 80% value. But I think there's a lot of perception of that, of people saying like, oh, market's crashing, like games, like my portfolio like of players is like decreasing in value so quickly. And I know that like some of that could be thinking that like leads other managers to say, I need to get out of this project because I've sunk money in here and I need to like at least have something coming back.
If you look at any prices from like 2 actual years ago, they will be way higher than they are now. I've got some stats here, which, bearing in mind this hasn't been updated for about 5 days, but 5-6 days. But I wanted to look at the average weekly sale or the average weekly price of an uncommon and a rare player between the ages of, I think I put like 20 to 26. So to get the outliers of the older guys who will, today's marketplace will sell for less, and those who are youth premium going crazy. Since season 1, bearing in mind, because I didn't want to, because a lot of the player base, and you're saying there for Sturge about some people saying our prices are down. If they've only been MFL since season 3, they've experienced a massive up and a massive down. Or if they've only been in since season 5, they've probably experienced like a slight down. There almost have been 2 clear peaks of when, like the Christmas time, when Akane and that, and people were selling a lot of players around there, and then season 4.5, we'll call it, moved over through season 4 when we had he hates it being called this, but the Laird Boom and Nep and other people bringing a massive player base into the game. The average price of a uncommon in middle of May was $40, and it's now $30. So you're talking what's that? 25%. Prices on average for 20 to 26-year-olds for uncommon and rare players are at their lowest since season 1. To put a statement on it, they're at their lowest since season 1.
I would argue that makes sense though, because we've had 8 years of players getting older,
and we had a lot more supply being released as well.
Yeah, and
that's one of the big ones.
So yeah, exactly.
Because we saw prices skyrocket when we had a huge influx of players, and demand highly outnumbered and was multiples over supply for what was there. But I don't think it's bad. I don't think any of that's bad. I was just stating the fact.
No,
I don't think
no,
I'm
it's
not
also
looking
natural.
At, oh, that's a huge negative.
Market.
Not at all.
No, but even at 25%, like that's well within like healthy range. I think if you looked at Legos, you probably would see like a 50% drop. And obviously 50 is like more notable, of course, but I think there's like so many points of time that, I mean, we probably even spoke about this on one of the last times I was on with you guys, that like we didn't really expect it to like maintain this long. Maybe that's the wrong phrasing, but it goes back to like when I sold Joga 2 seasons ago, or even like 1 and a bit seasons ago now. Actually, it was probably exactly 2 seasons at the end of 0.5 or maybe even 0.6, 0.5. Or not 0.5, S5. Like someone dropped $5,000 on my Diamond Club. Like, to me, that's insane. But like that was the market rate. So like all the chat of like Lego or like player prices dropping, like I don't know, we've been saying this for like the last 15 seasons.
Every season we're saying prices are too
keeps
high.
Coming back, and overall it just goes up.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we've seen fundamentally is that we said right at the beginning, I said, oh, how quick second half of the season's been. MFL moves at an incredibly fast pace, where we could be saying, oh my God, prices are too high in literally 3 weeks' time, and no one would back down and say that's normal. Probably won't happen, but it's not, probability is low, but it's not zero.
Yeah. Great. I see 140, so that's usually my move on to the last
Teacher
question.
Calvers back in the room.
To be strict. But I think we had a great one, and I think I know Sturge's answer, but because you kind of mentioned this before, but Big Mr. K14 asked, are friendlies useful, and how do you use them? So you already said you ran tons of friendlies, so you would definitely say yes, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
They are useful.
I think so, but they're only useful if you do a lot of them. Like I always say, like, test a tactic in sets of 10 games. And then like once those 10 games happen, test them for another 10. And like I almost use that as like a short list where like those 15 tactics I wanted to test, ran them all for 10 games, took the averages of like average points per game, goals scored, goals against, like even XG for and against. And then I take the top 5 performing, another 10. Top 3 performing, another 10. Final head-to-head on the top 2, like final 10. So you end up like, obviously that's a lot of extra work, but I just don't think you can see enough. And like, I see people friendly me 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, what is this going to tell you? Like, it's not enough.
Child's play.
Yeah. And then also too, like friendly teams, like if possible, and you have 2 teams that are similar rated, like that you own, test there, because then you can set up tactics for the secondary team that you're like training against and have it be a little more like controlled versus like if I go out and have a friendly with the Wyverns 50 times, like I don't know if Jimbo's going to change
and lose all
the
50
tactics.
games. Lose all 50
Yeah.
games to the Wyverns.
Well, I can put in one of my like E or F teams.
I was going to say really random fact. I when Wyverns got promoted to bronze and I was feeling over the moon, I challenged Meta Mercenaries and lost 1-0 and I felt like a fucking baller. I was like, hello. I was like, well, that's my claim to fame. I only lost 1-0 as an Ironside to Meta Mercenaries. Not many of them can say that. There you go. Carry on. Sorry, I interrupted that. I had to get that in there. I've been meaning to do that for like 7 months now.
Well, I would have just said you need to do at least 9 more games.
Oh, and lose it 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0.
That's the message. Only if you do loads of friendlies, they're useful. But I agree with that. Yeah, especially with there can be upsets, right? What we just talked about. So you need a massive sample size and have some kind of controlled setting to
and I also think that helps you, like that helped me understand that like the variance happens. Like I could send you a picture of the top tactic I tested 40 or 50 times. And like while it performed like really strongly, it still got slapped like 4 or 5-0 sometimes. And I like if a red card happens, I don't count the game because like that impacts XG and like I'm trying to just like pure test this. But yeah, like every tactic gets beat on its day.
So exactly. You can still lose with an amazing perfect tactic, of course. That can still happen. That's great. I don't know if you thought about this, but any question for next guests, or are you curious about something we talked about, how other people look at it?
I guess I just thinking off the top of my head, one thing you like, what would you prioritize on the roadmap for like the next major feature update?
Great. Always good question.
And then maybe if you were a player, what would your 6 stats be?
But a bonus question.
Bonus question.
Okay.
I did ask the Twitch chat midweek, and the YouTube chat, I guess, as well. We do multi-stream. If your name could be inputted on a player, and they'd be generated at 16 years old, and they would be between whatever the lowest common rating is and then 54, becoming a common player, and they were automatically generated. You had no idea on the position, the stats, the overall, just the name being you. How much would you pay an MFL to have that player?
Oh, if he's shit, not much.
Well, some people said like 10K. Someone said like 60,000.
But he could have potential.
Could have potential, yeah. Which obviously I think we alluded to earlier, Sturge, about Ron John's first common to Ultimate, and he minted at 26. Which congrats to Ron John for having the first common to Ultimate. I think it's an unbelievable achievement.
I guess 3 to 5K or something. If it's like your name and maybe your photo, yeah.
Depends how much leftover I have from redeeming Lego packs, but yeah, I would probably do it if I could.
There's got to be someone in the community whose name is on a player, right? Although they're probably not going to announce it because they don't want to like dox themselves, and they don't really just say what your name is. But there's nothing people can do with that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's already the case. Yeah.
Like I always try and find a couple of Jimbos, or as chap found out what my first name was on stream. They're like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "I say it all the time. None of you clocked onto this already." But which is funny.
Yeah.
But my full name's not in the game yet, and I've been waiting for it. There's been close. There's been a few close calls, but they're not. It's not. I'm really frustrated by it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of episode where we reveal this week's hashtag. And this week's hashtag, you get a choice. Ooh, we love a choice on here. Love being on the fence. You get to pick one. Even though it's not on the fence at all because you have to pick one. There's no third option of a draw. Hashtag friendly or hashtag unfriendly. Not you as a person, or maybe it is. Maybe you're going to put friendly and everyone goes, no, you're definitely unfriendly. Your attitude towards friendlies in MFL. Are you hashtag friendly or are you hashtag unfriendly? We're going to see who the real managers are now and what their real personalities are like based on your hashtag choice. So pass that hashtag on Twitter, X, Discord. If you're watching this on YouTube, put it in the comment section below. Before we wrap this episode up with the full-time whistle, we've still got a bit of, it's a minimum additional time. It's not a maximum. Sturge, thank you for your third appearance with us in the studio today.
And of course, Jimbo Calva, it's always a pleasure. I'm always happy to come sit down and chat MFL. So anytime.
Awesome.
My man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hashtag friendly, hashtag unfriendly. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk Cast. Thank you for listening. Bye.